Capricorn, listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal isn't just another video. It's a key, a blueprint that could shift the trajectory of your life and the generations that follow you. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because every moment from now on could be the moment that changes everything for you and your family. You may not realize it yet, but your birth date holds a hidden map to generational wealth, a pattern woven into your very being. And today, I'm going to walk you through it, step by step, story by story, in a way that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about success, timing, and destiny. Imagine a child born on January 4th, the chill of winter around them, a world that seems distant and indifferent. That child grows, unknowingly carrying the seeds of brilliance and discipline, traits that history has proven to accumulate wealth across lifetimes. Isaac Newton was one such child. Born into obscurity, he faced hardships, the death of his father before his birth, and the strain of a world unready for his ideas. Yet by embracing the relentless focus and patience coded into his nature, he transformed not only science, but the foundation of intellectual wealth for generations. Every calculation, every experiment, every night spent alone in the quiet candlelight was a step toward a legacy invisible to the untrained eye. And the astonishing part: this is not just a story of intelligence. It is a story of timing, alignment, and unseen cosmic favor that whispers to certain Capricorns, guiding them toward their purpose in wealth and influence. Now think about someone like Denzel Washington, born on December 28th, a Capricorn who transformed personal struggle into a legacy of influence, wealth, and wisdom. Denzel didn't inherit an empire. He built it through unwavering discipline, decisions that seemed small at the time but carried monumental consequences. From the streets where he learned to observe the world to the roles that sculpted his career, every choice reflected a deeper alignment with something unseen, a pull toward impact that generations would remember. His story is not just fame, it's wealth measured in influence, in guidance, in the ability to change the trajectory of others' lives. This is the hidden thread that many Capricorns don't recognize. Your personal discipline isn't just about your success. It is about weaving a legacy, a framework for wealth that can stretch beyond your lifespan if you learn to recognize it. Even in biblical times, this pattern existed, clear for those willing to see it. Joseph, a young man sold into slavery by his own brothers, faced trials that would break the spirit of most. But his dreams, his vision, his patience, and his strategic alignment with divine timing allowed him to rise from the pit to the palace, becoming the steward of Egypt's wealth and the savior of countless families during famine. Joseph's story is not merely faith, it is a blueprint for Capricorns. Adversity is a test of alignment, of discipline, and of vision. If you ignore the signals, if you rush without preparation, you miss the hidden pathways to generational wealth. But if you learn the art of timing, of patience, of disciplined strategy, your legacy will not be limited to what you can touch. It will echo through generations. Consider a modern example: an ordinary Capricorn, born December 31st, growing up in a small town with no inherited wealth, no advantages, just the quiet call to discipline that seemed almost invisible. This person learned early the value of consistency, the power of investing small amounts over time, of building skills that compound like interest. By their 30s, they owned multiple properties, had stakes in small businesses, and had created a financial network that supported not only their immediate family, but set up future generations for stability and growth. What made this possible was not luck. It was an innate alignment with discipline, foresight, and patience, a pattern observable in Capricorns throughout history. But here's the subtle secret that often gets overlooked. The universe does not grant wealth merely for effort. It aligns it with timing, character, and decisions that seem inconsequential until decades later. This is why some Capricorns who work harder than everyone around them still find doors closing. They are misaligned with the hidden currents that carry true generational wealth. The child born on January 15th may not see the benefit today, may not understand the impact of a single decision, a single relationship, or a single investment. But the alignment is being laid quietly, meticulously, invisibly. And once the alignment hits, the results appear sudden, almost magical, yet they are the product of invisible foundations laid over years, decades, even generations. History confirms this over and over. Andrew Carnegie, born into a poor family in Scotland, understood the power of disciplined labor, strategy, and reinvestment. His fortune was not the result of one big break. It was the accumulation of countless small, calculated steps aligned with the economic currents of his time. He didn't merely earn money. He created systems and opportunities that would allow his wealth to persist long after his death, influencing philanthropy, education, and social structures for generations. This principle, discipline, strategy, and alignment, is the unspoken law behind the success of many Capricorns, waiting for those who recognize it in their own lives. Your own life mirrors these patterns in ways you may not yet see. Perhaps you've faced setbacks, moments when the world seemed stacked against you, moments when your efforts appeared fruitless. Yet every trial is a building block, every hardship a secret teacher. Capricorns often underestimate the power of consistent, patient action, the small choices that accumulate invisibly, quietly, until one day the effect becomes undeniable. Real wealth, generational wealth, is rarely flashy. It grows in silence, in alignment with discipline and timing, until the results are so undeniable that the world finally takes notice. Now imagine holding a map, a hidden, invisible blueprint for your financial destiny. It shows where to invest your energy, where to conserve your resources, and where to act boldly. This map is encoded in your birth date, your traits, your alignment with time and opportunity. Every Capricorn who has ever created a lasting legacy followed it, whether consciously or unconsciously, and yet the majority never realize it. They work tirelessly, struggle endlessly, yet never see the full scope of their potential because they lack awareness of the hidden signals guiding them. There is a story of another modern Capricorn, someone whose life seems almost ordinary at first glance. Born in a small city, working a 9-to-5 job, barely making ends meet. This individual had no inherited wealth. No family connections, no shortcuts. Yet, by observing trends, investing with patience, and building a network rooted in integrity and strategic alliances, they became the owner of multiple businesses, mentors in their field, and a source of inspiration for others seeking financial freedom. The transformation did not happen overnight. It was the slow accumulation of disciplined effort, aligned with timing, guided by an invisible hand. And now, the legacy created is poised to benefit their children and grandchildren, quietly building a dynasty that few even recognize. Capricorn, this is your hidden power, not just your work ethic, not just your intelligence, but your alignment with timing, strategy, and patience. History, scripture, and modern life are full of examples showing that the seed of generational wealth lies not in chance, but in conscious, disciplined alignment. You may feel frustrated today, feeling the world is unfair, but every step you take, every lesson you endure, every patient investment, financial, relational, or personal, is a piece of the puzzle forming your ultimate legacy. The world may try to distract you, to convince you that instant gratification or luck is the path to wealth. But the Capricorns who accumulate generational riches, Isaac Newton, Joseph, Denzel Washington, Andrew Carnegie, the modern Capricorn I just described, they understand the quiet power of alignment, patience, and strategic action. They understood that wealth is not merely a number. It is influence, it is guidance, it is a framework for future generations. They understood that without timing, even the greatest effort may yield little. And they understood that the small, invisible choices you make every day can ripple into monumental results, shaping not only your life, but the lives of those who follow you. As you consider your own journey, reflect on the moments where patience and alignment have already shaped your path. Think of the small investments, the lessons endured, the relationships nurtured in silence. They are all part of a blueprint you may not yet fully comprehend. And yet, if you pay attention, if you embrace your natural Capricorn traits, if you listen to the hidden signals of timing, strategy, and patience, you are poised for a transformation few ever experience. The astonishing truth, however, is that even with discipline, alignment, and patience, there is one hidden key that most Capricorns overlook: an unseen decision, a neglected signal, a subtle alignment that multiplies wealth across generations. Many will never discover it, and their efforts, however diligent, may fall short. But for those who uncover it, for those who finally see the blueprint in full, the results are beyond imagination. Families lifted from scarcity to abundance, legacies created that endure centuries, influence that transcends borders. This is the destiny quietly waiting for Capricorns who recognize their hidden alignment. And yet, despite all the examples, the history, the biblical patterns, and the modern successes, most Capricorns continue unaware. They chase immediate results, they measure wealth in fleeting gains, they miss the subtle currents beneath the surface. But for those who pause, who reflect, who listen to the whispers of timing, strategy, and patience, something extraordinary awaits. Something so powerful, so transformative, that it redefines not only what wealth means, but what it means to leave a legacy. Even now, countless Capricorns are unknowingly walking past opportunities, dismissing small signs, ignoring patterns that could secure generational wealth for centuries. And the universe, in its quiet wisdom, continues to present the signals, small coincidences, subtle insights, moments of clarity, waiting for those willing to see them. The question is not whether you have the potential, Capricorn. The question is whether you can recognize the hidden map, follow its guidance, and embrace the timing that will unlock wealth not just for you, but for generations yet unborn. There is one final story, a modern Capricorn who embodies every principle I've shared. They started with nothing, faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, yet through careful observation, disciplined action, and strategic patience, they transformed a modest investment into a network of businesses, properties, and opportunities that now impact not just their family, but their entire community. And what made this possible was not brilliance alone, not luck alone, but the recognition of one hidden principle, something so subtle, so overlooked, that it remains invisible to most who attempt to follow the path. And this is where the suspense lies, the part that most Capricorns never uncover. You have the traits, the birth alignment, the patience, and the discipline. You may already be taking steps without realizing the hidden foundation you are building. Yet there is a single, invisible factor, quietly shaping your destiny, that holds the power to amplify your efforts exponentially. If ignored, it keeps you just short of the full potential. If recognized, it transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary generational wealth. It is hidden in plain sight, invisible to the untrained eye, yet it is the missing key to everything the universe has been guiding you toward. And so, Capricorn, your journey has only begun. The path stretches ahead, full of promise and hidden signals, ready for those who see, who listen, who act with timing, discipline, and alignment. But the secret, the one invisible choice that multiplies wealth across generations, remains just beyond the horizon, waiting for the moment when you are ready to finally recognize it. The hidden patterns of wealth have always been invisible to most, yet they are written clearly for those who take the time to observe, for those who understand that life's greatest fortunes are rarely found in chance, but in patience, strategy, and alignment. Look at Capricorns like Denzel Washington, whose journey was never about luck, but about an invisible architecture of choices made consistently over decades. Each role he took, each collaboration, each careful decision to uphold integrity over compromise was a small brick laid in a legacy that now spans generations. The world sees the fame, the influence, the awards, but what few notice is the disciplined, almost ritualistic process that led him there. Every quiet morning, every unseen rehearsal, every decision to stay true to principle rather than chase temporary gains. This is the invisible work that builds wealth and impact that outlives a single lifetime. And the fascinating part is that these principles are encoded in the very essence of Capricorns, born between December 22nd and January 19th, shaping their DNA for generational prosperity without them even fully realizing it. Consider the story of a modern Capricorn, a woman born on January 3rd, in a small town with limited resources, barely scraping by in a world that seemed stacked against her. From an early age, she displayed traits that would seem ordinary to outsiders: patience, discipline, a relentless desire to learn. Yet these very traits, often overlooked by the untrained eye, became the foundation for extraordinary achievement. She invested small amounts in education, in side projects, in networking, never seeing immediate results, often facing ridicule and doubt from family and peers. But the quiet accumulation of skill, knowledge, and strategic actions slowly began to compound. By her mid-30s, she owned multiple properties, held stakes in businesses that generated income even while she slept, and had established a financial network capable of sustaining generations. What the world would call luck was in fact alignment, discipline meeting timing, patience meeting opportunity. The lesson here is clear. Wealth, particularly generational wealth, is rarely flashy. It grows in silence, nurtured by the consistent actions of those who understand the invisible architecture of life. Historical patterns reinforce this truth in ways that are almost prophetic. Andrew Carnegie, born in Scotland in a modest household, understood the power of reinvestment and disciplined growth long before the term financial literacy existed. He worked tirelessly, sometimes in conditions that would have crushed lesser spirits, yet his mind was always calculating, always observing, always aligning effort with the currents of opportunity. Carnegie's fortune did not end with him. He created systems for philanthropy, for education, for infrastructure, ensuring that the impact of his wealth extended far beyond his lifetime. This is the hidden blueprint many Capricorns follow without realizing it, the invisible commitment to alignment, patience, and strategic action that multiplies impact exponentially. Without recognizing these patterns, effort alone will rarely suffice. Without this alignment, the promise of generational wealth often fades like a mirage, always tantalizing, never fully realized. Even in biblical narratives, the same patterns appear repeatedly. Joseph, for instance, endured betrayal, slavery, and false accusations, yet his ability to read opportunities, to act strategically when the moment arrived, transformed him from a forgotten prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. Every trial, every period of waiting, was a preparation for wealth that extended far beyond his personal gain. Generational wealth in its truest form is not merely financial. It encompasses influence, wisdom, and the capacity to shape environments and destinies. Capricorns, born with the natural tendencies toward patience, discipline, and foresight, carry this potential within them. And yet, many fail to recognize it, distracted by immediate gratification or shallow measures of success, never realizing that the true keys have always been in the quiet cultivation of alignment and timing. A second real-life story brings this into sharp focus. A Capricorn man, born on December 26th, grew up in a neighborhood where poverty was a norm, where opportunities seemed scarce, and where dreams were often curtailed by circumstance. But he possessed the quiet resolve of a Capricorn, the ability to plan meticulously, to take small, calculated risks, and to learn from each failure without being defeated. He started with a modest business venture, one that many dismissed as trivial, investing not just money, but time, energy, and intellect. Each decision was compounded, each setback converted into learning. Over a decade, this once humble venture evolved into a conglomerate of businesses and investments, a financial ecosystem that supported not just his immediate family, but created foundations for future generations. The fascinating aspect was not merely the growth itself, but the methodical, almost invisible way in which it unfolded, a testament to the quiet power of discipline aligned with opportunity, a blueprint repeated throughout history, waiting to be recognized and applied. Timing, however, is the invisible hand guiding every successful Capricorn. Historical and modern examples alike demonstrate that without alignment with opportunity, even the most disciplined effort may yield little. Martin Luther King Jr., a Capricorn born on January 15th, understood this principle in a profound way. His strategic timing of speeches, marches, and advocacy ensured maximum impact, not only influencing societal structures, but shaping legacies that persist in cultural memory. The principles that govern wealth and legacy operate similarly. Alignment, timing, and preparation magnify the results of even modest actions. Miss the timing, and the opportunity evaporates. Recognize it, and the effects are monumental, echoing through generations. This principle is often invisible, operating beneath the surface, guiding actions toward outcomes that appear miraculous, but are in truth the product of unseen alignment. Consider the lesson embedded in everyday life. The small, seemingly inconsequential choices, when aligned with patience and discipline, multiply in ways unimaginable. A single decision to invest, to save, to nurture a relationship, or to pursue a skill can reverberate through decades, shaping not only personal wealth, but the structure of a family's future. Capricorns possess an innate ability to perceive patterns, to measure risk, and to act strategically. Yet recognition of this power is not innate, it must be cultivated. Without awareness, the natural tendencies may be misapplied or wasted. The disciplined work ethic may serve only personal survival rather than generational prosperity. The opportunity, subtle and quiet, can slip by unnoticed unless one consciously engages with it, aligning action with foresight and patience. A third real-life story illustrates this principle with clarity. A Capricorn woman born on January 7th faced extraordinary adversity in her youth, financial hardship, unstable family circumstances, and a world that seemed indifferent to her aspirations. Despite this, she exhibited the core Capricorn traits: a relentless work ethic, an ability to plan, and an almost instinctive understanding of timing. She began modestly, with small investments and side ventures, learning through trial and error. Each effort compounded, each decision carefully measured. Over 2 decades, she transformed her life from scarcity to abundance, creating not just wealth for herself, but systems and businesses that provided opportunity, education, and support for her entire community. The invisible architecture of her success was patience, discipline, and alignment, the same blueprint repeated throughout history for Capricorns whose lives are designed to impact generations. The climax of this hidden blueprint lies not in effort alone, nor in talent alone, but in the convergence of timing, patience, and strategic action. Capricorns who accumulate generational wealth understand this intuitively, yet consciously recognizing it multiplies the effect exponentially. The principle is simple, yet rarely understood. Wealth is not linear, it is exponential, growing quietly through aligned action until it manifests as undeniable influence, financial stability, and generational impact. And the final, often overlooked element is the invisible choice, the decision that remains hidden in plain sight, which has the power to transform ordinary wealth into extraordinary, lasting legacy. Even as you navigate your daily life, the signals of this hidden path are all around you. Small moments, minor decisions, subtle opportunities, they are the whispers of alignment, guiding you toward cumulative impact. Capricorns who fail to notice them may remain in perpetual struggle, while those who recognize them amplify results beyond expectation. Real wealth, the kind that endures for generations, is never accidental. It is the product of careful observation, disciplined action, and the recognition of subtle currents that shape the future. And while many focus on immediate gratification or visible success, the most powerful forces operate silently, invisibly, waiting for the right alignment to catalyze transformation. Throughout history, from biblical narratives to modern examples, the same principles are repeated: patient action, strategic alignment, disciplined execution, and recognition of invisible timing. Those who understand and apply these principles see exponential returns, not just in personal wealth, but in influence, legacy, and the power to shape lives far beyond their own. Every decision, every effort, every investment is a building block, silently accumulating until the moment arrives when the full weight of alignment reveals itself in dramatic, transformative ways. This is the universal law behind generational wealth for Capricorns, a law largely invisible, yet profoundly real, operating beneath the surface of every successful life story. And yet, despite this clarity, the final piece remains elusive to most. Capricorns may follow all the visible principles: discipline, patience, strategic action, but without awareness of the invisible alignment, the silent multiplier, the subtle cosmic timing, true generational wealth remains just out of reach. This unseen force is what separates those whose efforts vanish without impact from those whose lives create enduring legacies, shaping not only personal fortune, but the structure of family, community, and influence for generations yet to come. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet omnipotent in its effect, quietly guiding those who recognize it toward outcomes that appear miraculous, but are the product of precise alignment and disciplined execution. The transformative potential is immense. Families can move from cycles of scarcity to cycles of abundance, communities can be uplifted, influence can extend across nations, and the simple act of recognizing alignment can multiply the results of decades of effort. The blueprint exists, written invisibly in character, discipline, and timing, awaiting recognition and conscious application. Capricorns are naturally equipped with the traits to follow this blueprint, yet recognition is the key. Discipline without awareness, effort without alignment, patience without strategy, all are incomplete. The final, hidden factor, the subtle multiplier, remains the determinant of true generational impact. It is here at the edge of perception that the suspense unfolds. You may already possess the traits, the discipline, the patience, and the foresight. You may already have laid the invisible foundation through quiet, consistent effort. Yet the final step, the hidden key that multiplies these efforts into generational wealth, remains unseen, quietly waiting, silently shaping your path. Those who discover it unlock not only financial prosperity, but influence, guidance, and a legacy that resonates far beyond their lifetime. The universe has been signaling, guiding, and aligning opportunities along your path. And now, at the precipice of full realization, the invisible multiplier stands ready to transform ordinary life into extraordinary, enduring legacy. The invisible currents of life have a way of guiding certain people, quietly nudging them toward outcomes that seem impossible until they manifest fully. Timing, patience, and strategic action are not merely traits, they are the lifeblood of generational wealth, particularly for those born under Capricorn. Look at the life of Joseph in the Bible, a young man sold into slavery, betrayed by those closest to him, imprisoned unjustly, yet rising to the position of steward over an entire nation. Every trial he faced was a preparation, every delay a calibration of timing, every moment of patience a building block for wealth that would not only sustain him but generations to come. This is the blueprint that whispers to certain Capricorns, getting them toward outcomes invisible to most, yet inevitable for those aligned with patience, strategy, and faith in unseen forces. The world often confuses visible success with real wealth, but Joseph's story shows that true generational wealth is strategic, silent, and deeply aligned with timing. Consider a modern Capricorn, born on January 8th, whose early life was marked by struggle and scarcity. This individual had no inherited advantages, no privileged access to resources, yet possessed an innate sense of discipline and foresight. By their early 20s, small, seemingly inconsequential choices, taking a low-paying but educational job, investing in personal development, and quietly studying trends in markets, began to accumulate into subtle leverage. Each effort seemed insignificant, unnoticed by peers, yet it compounded like an invisible force, laying the foundation for future financial empires. By the time they reached 35, they controlled multiple businesses, properties generating passive income, and a network that allowed wealth to flow not just to themselves, but to their family and community. What many saw as luck was, in truth, invisible alignment with strategy, timing, and disciplined action, qualities that Capricorns naturally carry but must consciously recognize to fully harness. History offers endless illustrations of this principle. Andrew Carnegie, born into humble beginnings in Scotland, understood the quiet power of strategic patience. He did not stumble into wealth through a single stroke of fortune, but through decades of disciplined investment, reinvestment, and calculated action. His fortune was monumental, yes, but what distinguished him was the creation of systems that allowed wealth and influence to extend beyond his lifetime, impacting education, philanthropy, and the economy for generations. Carnegie's life embodies the hidden laws of generational wealth: alignment, discipline, patience, and the recognition of opportunity when it appears. He demonstrated that wealth is far more than numbers. It is influence, it is legacy, it is the architecture of impact that can ripple across decades and continents. Even in modern culture, these principles repeat themselves. Take Denzel Washington, born December 28th, a Capricorn whose career seems almost predestined. Every role he took, every collaboration, every careful decision to uphold personal integrity over temporary gain contributed to a legacy that spans generations. His wealth is not merely financial, but measured in influence, guidance, and inspiration. Behind the cameras and the spotlight, the invisible architecture is discipline, timing, and strategy. His decisions were aligned not only with opportunity, but with the deeper currents of growth and legacy that many overlook. The key lesson here is that generational wealth is never accidental. It is a culmination of unseen forces, carefully navigated choices, and disciplined, patient action, something Capricorns are naturally equipped to harness. A second modern story reinforces this principle in tangible terms. A Capricorn man, born January 12th, grew up in a city where opportunity was scarce, yet he displayed the natural traits of his zodiac sign: foresight, discipline, and relentless patience. Starting with a modest business, he invested not just money but intellect and time. Early failures taught him lessons invisible to others, lessons that, when applied, multiplied the value of every subsequent choice. Over 20 years, his small enterprise expanded into a conglomerate of businesses, real estate, and financial networks that provided not only wealth but opportunity for countless others. This is the hidden mechanism of generational wealth: small, disciplined choices, strategically aligned over time, producing exponential impact. Capricorns may feel the weight of delayed results, but the universe has been quietly compounding their efforts, preparing the way for transformative breakthroughs. Timing and alignment are critical elements often underestimated. Martin Luther King Jr., a Capricorn born January 15th, understood this instinctively. The strategic timing of his speeches, marches, and leadership actions amplified the impact of his message beyond what raw effort alone could achieve. The principle applies equally to financial and personal legacy. Patient alignment magnifies small efforts into monumental outcomes. Capricorns, who naturally possess foresight and discipline, are predisposed to notice patterns, align action with opportunity, and execute with precision. Yet the majority fail to consciously recognize this alignment, leaving their potential underutilized, their wealth and influence unrealized, despite effort and intelligence. Every small, consistent action contributes to the invisible architecture of generational wealth. Saving, investing, nurturing relationships, cultivating knowledge all appear minor, yet they form the framework for exponential growth. A third real-life story exemplifies this. A Capricorn woman, born January 5th, faced extreme adversity, financial instability, and social challenges, yet she displayed natural discipline and strategic insight. She began with small investments, disciplined saving, and the cultivation of skills unnoticed by her peers. Over 25 years, her small efforts compounded, producing multi-generational financial stability, influence, and the ability to provide opportunities for countless others. Her journey demonstrates the invisible multiplier at work: patient alignment, disciplined action, and strategic timing coalescing into undeniable generational impact. The climax of this hidden architecture lies not in individual effort alone, but in the convergence of timing, discipline, and strategy. Even the most talented and hardworking Capricorns will fall short if they miss the subtle multiplier, an invisible alignment that amplifies results exponentially. History, scripture, and modern examples all demonstrate the same pattern. Wealth, influence, and legacy are multiplied not by chance, but by recognizing the signals that quietly guide opportunity. Those who ignore them may work tirelessly yet remain on the periphery of real generational impact. Those who recognize them see compounding results, not just in wealth, but in influence, guidance, and enduring legacy. Every choice, every effort, every investment, even those that seem insignificant, carries weight in this invisible system. Capricorns are uniquely designed to perceive patterns, to align action with opportunity, and to execute strategically. Yet conscious recognition of these patterns is essential. Without awareness, natural traits may be misapplied or wasted. Wealth, influence, and generational impact are created quietly, through alignment and timing, until a moment arrives when decades of effort suddenly reveal themselves in dramatic transformation. Even now, Capricorns across the world are unknowingly building foundations for generational wealth. Small investments, careful actions, disciplined work, strategic networking all silently accumulate. But without recognition of the invisible multiplier, these efforts remain partial, their potential unfulfilled. The universe is continuously signaling, providing moments of alignment, subtle guidance, and quiet opportunities, waiting for awareness and conscious action to unlock their full impact. The invisible multiplier is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet omnipotent. It transforms disciplined effort into enduring legacy, ordinary wealth into extraordinary generational abundance. Families once trapped in cycles of scarcity are lifted into cycles of influence, prosperity, and opportunity. Communities are reshaped. Entire generations benefit. Capricorns are uniquely predisposed to harness this multiplier, yet recognition is key. Discipline alone is insufficient. Effort without alignment, patience without strategy, and foresight without conscious action rarely achieve true generational impact. History, scripture, and modern life converge to teach the same principle. Disciplined patience, strategic alignment, and awareness of invisible timing create wealth that endures across generations. Each small, invisible choice compounds until the moment arrives when the full power of alignment manifests dramatically. The blueprint is present, quietly shaping the trajectory of those willing to observe, understand, and act. Capricorns, with their natural foresight and discipline, are particularly equipped to follow it, yet conscious awareness is the difference between ordinary success and extraordinary, lasting legacy. Even as these examples illustrate, the final step remains unseen by most. Capricorns may embody discipline, patience, and foresight, yet the invisible multiplier, the subtle alignment that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary generational wealth, remains elusive. It operates quietly, unseen, influencing outcomes long before they are visible. Those who recognize it activate wealth not only for themselves, but for generations, creating influence, guidance, and opportunity that reverberates far beyond personal gain. The power of alignment, timing, and strategy is immense. Families can move from cycles of scarcity to cycles of abundance. Communities can thrive. Influence can extend across borders. And the final hidden key, the subtle decision or recognition that multiplies wealth across generations, remains in plain sight yet unnoticed by most. It is the threshold between effort and enduring impact, between personal success and generational legacy. Those who grasp it tap into forces invisible to ordinary perception, unlocking not just financial prosperity, but influence, guidance, and a legacy that transcends time. This hidden multiplier is the climax of the entire blueprint of generational wealth. Capricorns who recognize it can transform small, disciplined efforts into extraordinary, long-lasting outcomes. Every action, every investment, every relationship nurtured carefully compounds within this invisible system. Historical figures, biblical characters, and modern-day success stories all demonstrate the same truth. Alignment, timing, discipline, and awareness of subtle multipliers generate wealth and legacy that endure across generations. Those who fail to recognize it remain trapped in cycles of effort without enduring impact. Those who grasp it multiply their influence, wealth, and guidance in ways few can imagine. And so, Capricorns, the hidden currents of timing, alignment, and strategic patience continue to flow around you. You may already be laying foundations without realizing it. Every small choice, every act of discipline, every investment in yourself, your skills, and your network is quietly shaping generational impact. Yet the final, unseen multiplier, the subtle alignment that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary legacy, remains waiting, silent but omnipotent, ready to activate wealth, influence, and opportunity that transcends your lifetime. The universe has been signaling, guiding, and preparing the way. And now, at the precipice of full realization, the invisible multiplier is poised to transform everything you have worked for into enduring, generational abundance. Capricorn, if you are listening to this, pause for a moment and really hear me, because what I am about to reveal has the power to shift not just your life, but the destiny of generations yet unborn. Before you continue, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the principles in this message are not the kind you stumble upon every day. They are rare, prophetic, and woven into your very being. You may not realize it yet, but the dates you were born carry hidden patterns that align you with the accumulation of generational wealth. Every choice, every action, every moment of patience you have exercised is a seed planted in a soil far richer than you can currently see. And today, we are going to uncover those seeds and reveal how they quietly, invisibly, multiply to build a legacy that will endure long after you are gone. Imagine a young man born on December 31st, a Capricorn whose family struggled to make ends meet. From childhood, he had a fascination with numbers, with patterns, with how small actions could create enormous results over time. While others played, he worked, quietly, methodically, persistently. By his teenage years, he had begun investing small amounts in local ventures, carefully observing, learning from mistakes, and quietly calculating risk. People around him laughed at what they called insignificant efforts, dismissing them as inconsequential. Yet, each small investment, each calculated choice, was compounding in a manner invisible to everyone else. By the time he reached his early 30s, he owned multiple businesses, some inherited, some created, all strategically positioned to generate wealth not just for himself, but for his children and their children after them. His story mirrors the invisible blueprint that Joseph followed in Egypt, a biblical parallel showing how patience, strategic alignment, and foresight combine to create abundance beyond imagination. Take another example, a modern Capricorn woman born on January 7th in a small, struggling town where opportunities seemed scarce. She grew up watching her parents work tirelessly with little reward, and from a young age, she knew she could not follow the same path. Instead, she studied, she learned, and she experimented. She invested in skills and relationships that others overlooked, creating alliances and networks that would seem insignificant at the time, but decades later would form the foundation of her empire. By her 40s, she owned multiple properties, several businesses, and had founded mentorship programs that uplifted her community. Her wealth was not just financial, it was influence, opportunity, and the kind of guidance that could shape entire generations. Her story reminds us of Denzel Washington, a Capricorn whose careful career choices and disciplined work ethic created a ripple effect far beyond personal fame, leaving a legacy of influence, mentorship, and opportunity. Even in historical examples, this principle repeats. Andrew Carnegie, born into a modest Scottish household, understood the art of strategic patience. He reinvested tirelessly, calculated his risks, and invested in systems that ensured his wealth would not be confined to a single lifetime. He funded libraries, schools, and institutions that shaped societies long after his death. His genius was not merely in earning wealth, but in designing structures that multiplied its impact generationally. Capricorns, by their nature, carry a similar pattern, a tendency for disciplined accumulation, for strategic action, and for recognition of subtle opportunities that most overlook. Yet, as with Carnegie, the critical factor is awareness. Without recognition of alignment, timing, and strategic patience, potential remains dormant, and effort yields only fleeting results. Consider the story of a young Capricorn man, born January 12th, who grew up in a city marked by economic hardship and limited opportunity. He was intelligent, disciplined, and focused, but the world around him seemed to favor others. Small setbacks, failures, and discouragements could have broken him, but he continued, learning from each misstep, quietly building skill sets, networks, and investments. What seemed insignificant to outsiders, a minor side hustle, a small financial decision, a brief mentorship, became the invisible framework for extraordinary success. By his 30s, he had not only amassed significant wealth, but had also created systems to ensure that his children and community would benefit from his foresight. This story is a modern reflection of King Solomon's wisdom, understanding the unseen currents, recognizing timing, and using strategy to convert effort into enduring legacy. Timing, as we have seen, is often invisible until it manifests. Martin Luther King Jr., a Capricorn born January 15th, knew intuitively that patience, strategy, and alignment with social movements amplified his impact beyond what raw effort alone could achieve. The principle is identical in financial and generational wealth. The invisible currents of opportunity, discipline, and alignment converge to create outcomes that appear miraculous to outsiders. Capricorns, blessed with foresight and persistence, are naturally equipped to navigate these currents. Yet, the majority fail to consciously recognize them, mistaking effort for results and sullignung their energy with opportunities, leaving wealth unclaimed and legacy unfinished. Every small, consistent action is a building block in this invisible architecture. Saving, investing, cultivating relationships, acquiring knowledge, all may appear minor, yet they compound quietly until the moment of full manifestation. A Capricorn woman, born January 5th, experienced extreme adversity, unstable family life, financial insecurity, and social obstacles. Yet she leveraged her natural discipline, foresight, and strategic patience, building small businesses and investing in her education and network. Decades later, she transformed her life and community, creating wealth, influence, and systems that ensured opportunity for generations to come. Her journey exemplifies the unseen multiplier, the hidden alignment that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary generational wealth. The climax of this hidden blueprint lies not merely in action, discipline, or intelligence, but in the convergence of timing, patience, and strategic recognition. Even the most talented Capricorns can fall short if they overlook the subtle multiplier, the invisible factor that amplifies all effort exponentially. Historical, biblical, and modern examples confirm this. Wealth, influence, and generational legacy emerge from disciplined, aligned action, compounded over time, and guided by recognition of subtle opportunities. Those who ignore these currents may lubke endlessly with minimal impact. Those who perceive them activate influence and wealth that echo across generations. Every decision, every investment, every relationship nurtured carefully compounds within this invisible system. Capricorns are naturally equipped to perceive patterns, align actions with opportunity, and execute with precision. Yet conscious awareness is essential. Discipline without recognition, patience without strategy, foresight without alignment. These are incomplete. True generational wealth is built quietly, patiently, until the moment arrives when decades of effort manifest in profound transformation. Even now, Capricorns are laying invisible foundations for generational wealth. Small choices, disciplined action, and strategic networking are quietly building frameworks for enduring influence and financial stability. Yet without recognition of the invisible multiplier, this potential remains dormant. The universe continues to signal, providing subtle alignment and quiet guidance, waiting for awareness and conscious action to transform these foundations into exponential results. The invisible multiplier is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet omnipotent in effect. It converts disciplined effort into enduring legacy, ordinary wealth into multi-generational abundance. Families trapped in cycles of scarcity can be lifted into cycles of influence, prosperity, and opportunity. Communities can thrive. The final, unseen factor, the subtle alignment or decision that multiplies wealth across generations, is within reach, yet unnoticed by most. Awareness activates its power, transforming ordinary effort into extraordinary legacy. Historical, biblical, and modern examples converge to teach the same truth. Patient, strategic, aligned action generates wealth and influence that endure across generations. Every invisible choice compounds until full manifestation occurs. Capricorns, with their natural foresight and discipline, are uniquely equipped to follow this blueprint. Yet conscious recognition is the differentiator between ordinary success and extraordinary, enduring legacy. Even as these principles unfold, the final multiplier, the invisible force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary generational impact, remains hidden from most. Capricorns may embody discipline, patience, and foresight, yet this subtle alignment, quietly shaping opportunity and amplifying results, determines whether true legacy is achieved. Recognizing it unlocks wealth, influence, and opportunity not only for oneself, but for generations to come. Families can rise from scarcity to abundance. Communities can thrive. Influence can spread across nations. The final, hidden key, the subtle decision, alignment, or recognition that multiplies wealth across generations, remains silent, waiting to be activated. It is the threshold between mere effort and enduring impact, between temporary success and multi-generational legacy. Those who grasp it unlock not just financial prosperity, but enduring influence, guidance, and opportunity that reverberates far beyond a single lifetime. This hidden multiplier is the climax of the blueprint for generational wealth. Capricorns who recognize it transform small, disciplined actions into extraordinary, long-lasting outcomes. Every effort, every choice, every investment compounds in the invisible system of alignment, timing, and patience. Historical figures, biblical characters, and modern Capricorns demonstrate the same truth. Alignment, strategic action, and recognition of subtle multipliers create wealth and legacy that endure for generations. Those who fail to see it remain trapped in cycles of effort without impact. Those who perceive it multiply influence, guidance, and financial prosperity in ways few can imagine. And now, Capricorn, the invisible currents of alignment, timing, and strategic patience continue to flow around you. You may have already begun laying foundations without realizing it. Every choice, every disciplined act, every investment in your skills, your network, and your future quietly accumulates. Yet the final multiplier, the invisible factor that turns ordinary effort into generational abundance, remains silent, omnipotent, and just beyond perception, ready to activate wealth, influence, and opportunity that will reshape not only your life, but the lives of those who follow after you.